How's everyone doing? Welcome back to my small engine repair channel. Today's video is a continuation on our series about how to fully service one of these two-stage snow blowers. And today's video will be all about how to adjust the skid shoes on your snow blower. Alright guys, so the skid shoes on a snowblower like this one, a two-stage snowblower, actually are pretty critical. The reason why they're critical is this whole bucket, front bucket that collects the snow, actually is just riding on the shoes on either side. You can see this one, I don't know if you could tell, but the thickness of the top of this shoe and the thickness of the bottom of that shoe, this one is actually quite a bit worn down. The beauty part on most of these skid shoes is they're actually reversible. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking these 9/16 off and actually flipping this shoe around and then adjusting it, and I'll show you how to adjust it and how I adjust it. Okay, so the reason why that's important is that we don't want to grind down the bottom of this chute here, because as you can see, eventually if that happens, you're going to risk running these augers right into the ground. So we've got these skid shoes that we run them on, and they need to be properly adjusted. Now take a look at the skid shoe on this side, completely worn down on that side, and in a not too distant future here, if we had continued with that, then we're going to start to wear out this skid plate in the back unnecessarily, and we're also going to wear out the side of this chute and potentially then get into our auger hitting the ground problem. So once again, this one is going to be flipped over so we can start utilizing the metal on the top side of this shoe. Okay, so for this, all we're going to need is 9/16 socket and wrench, socket and ratchet, or I use my impact with a 9/16 on it. And we're just going to spin off these two nuts. All right, now if there was still lots of meat left on the bottom here, you could proceed with this project by just adjusting the height of this. You can see there's actually slots actually prefabbed into these things where you can actually adjust the height of this thing up and down. Okay, so now as far as how do we know how high or low to adjust those to the proper height. Now everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. Me personally, I do not like to have this skid plate here contacting the ground, especially if you're working on a gravel driveway. What you're going to want to do is to actually put those shoes down so that the skid plate sits up off the ground a little bit. Even on a sidewalk that has, different sections of the sidewalk are slightly higher than the other, you're going to run into the higher sections if you've got this skid plate down too low. So personally, I like to have it up a little bit. Now, again, up how much is a personal preference. So what I've got here is two fairly thin pieces of cardboard that I'm going to use as a spacer underneath. And that's going to provide just a little bit, not quite as much as I would want. So what I'm going to do is sort of double these up to get the space that I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of gap here between this skid plate and the ground. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get you down low enough to see that, but there definitely is. I can't fit my finger under there, but it's probably about 1/4 of an inch on each side. Okay, so once that's up in the spot that I want it, now all I have to do is adjust my shoes to be nice and flat on the ground. Now you're going to want to do this on a nice level ground or surface, obviously. So I'm flipping mine over and I'm pushing it down so that it's nice and flat on the ground. And then all I do after that, just tighten these guys up. Okay. Do the same thing on the other side. Okay, once again, this one I'm going to flip it over, have it nice and level with the ground. Alright, so once that's done, and if I've done it correctly, take this out, and therefore now I have a nice even gap all the way across underneath there. Okay, so guys, that's how I service this one. I mean, I've seen other people use different kinds of material other than the cardboard. You know, they might use a porcelain tile or something that's going to get you about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of gap underneath there. All right, so that's it for servicing these shoes, guys. If you had to replace them, you could replace them for about $10 to $20, depending on your machine. But as you can see, not very difficult, but something that is fairly crucial, guys. So hopefully this was informative and you liked the video. If you did, please go ahead and smash the like button down below. If you're not already a subscriber, consider doing that. Thanks for joining me, guys, and until the next video, take care.